LeBlanc Mautner, Mautner.
Alright. When and where were you born?
Pardon?
When and where were you born?
I was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, December 22nd, 1920.
Describe your family, like parents, siblings, spouses, children.
My father was French and my mother was French-Spanish. And we were 10 brothers and sisters. And my father worked at an Exxon oil company, and my mother was a housewife, housekeeper, and so forth.
Alright. What was an average day like growing up?
Well, I would be playing out in the yard in the mornings. My mother had a little girl that would come over and watch me while I'd be playing outside while she'd be doing the housework.
Right.
And when I was in school, I'd walk through a field, and it was about half a mile to get to the first grade. And I went to this school called North Highlands, which was, I went there until I was in sixth grade. And then I went to another school in Baton Rouge called St. Joseph Academy, and graduated from there in 1939.
All right.
And then I went to work and did secretarial work for 3 or 4 years. Got married in 1944.
What was your favorite subject in school and why?
English.
What was your least favorite?
I guess math.
Is there any reason why English was your favorite and math was your least favorite?
No particular reason. I enjoyed the classes. Even I enjoyed math, but seemed like the English was more challenging to me, and I enjoyed it more.
What is the highest level of education you've attained?
I graduated from high school and took various courses at LSU, Louisiana State University.
Who has been your favorite president since you were born?
Oh, I guess it was Ted Kennedy.
Is there any reason why? Just
No, except that I knew he was of the same faith I was, and I trusted him.
who was your least favorite president?
Let me think now. What would you say?
Bill Clinton?
I guess I would say Bill Clinton because of all the publicity that he's made.
What has been the greatest success in your life?
Getting married and having a large family and raising them.
What was the greatest failure in your life?
Ooh, let me think. The greatest failure, such as what?
Something you wish you'd done, I guess. Something you wish you hadn't done. We can just go to the next one.
Okay.
Describe the first picture show you ever saw. The first picture show you ever saw. What was it like?
I can't remember some.
Alright. How did the Great Depression affect your family?
The Depression didn't, hurt us too well. You mean my family, my immediate family, my children, or with my parents? Well, it was with my parents that I lived
Yeah.
at that time. And my father had a job at Exxon and kept regular work. So it wasn't too bad. And he also, we had 5 acres of land and he farmed a little on it in between his jobs at the plant.
What was your first date like?
My first date.
Mm-hmm. Like, where'd you go? How old were you? Who'd you go with? Like, was it more formal dating? Like, meet the parents, first date?
Gosh, I can hardly remember all that, honey. Let me see. One of my first dates was going boating with a friend of mine and shooting birds down the river in the trees. And I remember killing one. And it was a red bird, and so it so happened that the following week was Red Feather Day, which meant that if you wore red feather, you were contributing to the one of the charitable causes in town.
Describe the day you heard about Pearl Harbor being bombed by the Japanese.
Describe that day.
Yeah, when you heard that the Japanese
I
had bombed.
remember my brother was home for the weekend from Alexandria. He was in the service, and he had to, they announced that he had to report back to his camp immediately. And it impressed me very much because I knew we were, you know, officially in war, more so.
Describe your first job. Like, what'd you do? How much you made?
I worked, my first job was during the summer months of high school at a 5 and dime store. I don't remember the starting salary. But I do remember of getting laid off because I got a pink slip because the lady said I wasn't, the boss said I wasn't working on the counters enough. So I remember I came home and cried. My dad said, "That's all right, that's okay, don't worry about it."
What did you think about Elvis Presley?
I think he was quite an attractive character. And my friends, the younger friends, all seemed to enjoy his programs.
What personal impact did World War II have on you? Like, did you lose any family or friends?
My husband was in World War II, and he had to leave approximately 6 to 10 weeks after we were married to go overseas. And while he was overseas, I had my first child, Billy, had 4 months when he was born, and in when he came back from overseas, Billy was 4 months old. That was the start of my married life, more or less.
What political party have you supported and why?
I had always supported the Democratic Party, more or less because my parents had. And as of now, I haven't been voting because finding it too inconvenient to get to the polls and so forth.
How did you feel about our involvement in Vietnam?
That's history that tells us it really wasn't necessary.
What things did you do when you were a teenager that drove your parents crazy?
Did I do?
Yeah, that drove your parents crazy when you were a teenager.
I can't recall them telling me anything I did while I was young that made them crazy.
Wow. Describe the day President Kennedy was assassinated and how you felt upon hearing the news.
At the time I heard it was in a store that I had gone to apply for a job, and when the news broke out in the store, everybody practically went into hysteria.
What was it like living through the Cold War?
Now, what's a Cold War?
That's where they were threatened to use the nuclear bombs. There wasn't actually any fighting, it was just a bunch of threats to use the weapons.
Well, that was after World War II.
I believe so.
What was the question?
What were your feelings about the Cold War? Like, what you thought of it?
It must have been a very sad period for everybody.
What's the earliest name brand product you can remember that's still around today?
The earliest what?
Name brand product? Like that make appliances or foods?
What's the main appliance?
The name brand of a product? Like Kellogg's cereal, or that you can remember that's still around today?
Well, I would say the Pepperidge Company cookies. The walnut, what do they call them? The oatmeal cookies.
They've been
made by
around since then.
Pepperidge.
What was your first car?
My first car, I believe, was a Chevrolet, as much as I can remember.
Where were you at when President Reagan was shot?
I was at home and heard it over my little radio.
What religion are you, and have you ever changed?
I'm Roman Catholic, and I have never changed.
Who was president when you were born?
President Wilson.
What fast food places were there around whenever you were growing up?
When I was growing up,
Yeah, like where you could just go and get a hamburger.
they didn't have those in my days. Not in my section of town.
Were tennis shoes common when you were growing up? Or did they wear boots and stuff?
What kind of shoes did we wear?
Yeah,
Oxfords.
awesome. Where did you go to school?
What, two schools or what, the one I graduated from?
Yeah, the one you graduated from.
St. Joseph Academy in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
And that's a private school?
Private.
Did anyone you went to school with die while you were still in school? Like one of your classmates?
I remember in elementary school, public school that I went to at that time. One of the girls had some kind of sores or disease of some kind on her lips, and we were told not to drink out of the faucet, that she might have been drinking out of it. And then she was quarantined, I understand, at her house, and then after she died, we went to see the girl and see the corpse, and she had a glass plate over her over the casket to prevent any type of spread of disease to others.
What was your curfew while you were in high school? Like, how late could you stay out?
In high school,
Mm-hmm.
till about 9.
How old did you have to be to get a driver's license?
I didn't have to have a driver's license from the beginning. I started driving about 16, and it wasn't required then, a driver's license.
How old were you when you got your first TV?
Oh, I must have been in my 30s, after I had been married and had a family of my own.
How long after that did color TVs come out?
I guess about 10 years later, in the early 40s maybe. I don't know if that sounds right or not, I kind of forgot.
How many channels did the TV have when you first got it?
Just 2 or 3, I believe, if I remember rightly.
What do you think about the newly found computer age?
I think it's great, and I wish that I had, I wish that it had come around when I was in my late teens, wishing for a new job of some sort.
What did the first bike you owned look like?
First one,
Bicycle?
what did our
What did it look like?
bicycle?
Mm-hmm. Like color?
Oh, I guess it was maybe a blue bike with, it was a boy's bike though.
What was the one item that when you were little you were considered cool if you had it? Like, you were popular if you owned that item.
What?
When you were growing up, what item that was like on the market that the cool kids had, like the ones that were popular? Like if they owned a certain like bike or
I guess skates.
skates?
I guess it was skates.
What things about your grandparents do you remember that you thought was old-fashioned?
About my grandparents?
Yeah. And if you can't remember, then your parents. Either one.
What was it about them that I liked or didn't like?
That you thought was old-fashioned.
That I thought was old-fashioned?
Mm-hmm.
Was outdoor plumbing. I don't know if that's, I do remember that. I thought that was terrible to name it. Indoor plumbing.
Alright. Was there much more prejudice and racism around when you were growing up than there is today?
Was there much prejudice?
Yeah, back then as there is today.
No, I don't think so. Unless we just it just wasn't publicized as much maybe in the papers. telecommunications.
What year did you graduate from high school?
1939.
Were private schools very common back then? Or was public schools more?
Public schools were more prominent then.
Did you go to college? Which one?
I took several courses out at LSU.
What were your reaction to man landing on the moon?
It reminded me of when my old grandmother at a certain time said, "Man will never get on the moon." Reminded me of my grandmother saying that.
What types of crimes were common? What types of crimes were there going on whenever you were growing up?
What types of what?
What types of crimes were there when you were young? Like what was common? Like violent crimes or robbery or pickpocketing?
Might have been kidnapping.
There was a lot of that.
Hmm?
There was a lot of that when you were growing up?
Seemed like it was. One's the deepest crime that seemed to be going around.
What was the most trouble you got in when you were little?
When I was 10 years old, I remember trying to catch my pony that Daddy had, that my father had bought us for Christmas one year. And in trying to catch the pony turned around real swiftly and kicked me. And this was only a half inch from my temple, so I was lucky to be alive. Was that most trouble?
Yeah, that could be considered that. What is your earliest memory? It's a hard one. Just the one that stands out.
My earliest memory that stands out is when my family moved from our house to my grandmother's house. I was about 5 years old then, 4 or 5.
What was Baton Rouge life like when you were young? Like, did they have paved roads?
What was Baton Rouge like?
Yeah.
Yes, the city had paved roads, but the outlying areas didn't have paved roads. In fact, there's one road that's called Plank Road now, was made out of planks. And my own street that I lived on as a child was called Prescott Lane, and it was made out of gravel.
How has common technology simplified your life?
What?
How has common technology simplified your life?
Like what? Plumbing and...
Yeah, medicines and...
Oh, I would say medicine and...
the emails. You get those from Michael in Australia.
Emails I receive through my children's computers.
What are some mistakes you think the government made in your life?
The government?
Yeah, some mistakes they made.
What would you say I could say?
Watergate. Nixon, maybe.
Maybe during the Nixon and Clinton eras.
What kind of music was your favorite when you were young? And who was your favorite band or singer?
I can't remember the bands back then.
Is there one type that you liked? Like country or rock?
I think it was Hawaiian type music.
Alright.